Here's the reality most DTC brands are living right now. They're running their Meta account like it's 2021. The structure they built back then was based on best practice that no longer apply, and that outdated structure is actively working against them today. It's fragmenting their data, it's fighting the algorithm, it's inflating their costs. And the frustrating part is they don't even know because the campaigns are still running. They're still seeing some conversions. It just never gets as efficient as it should be. There's a narrative that's become very popular in the meta advertising world over the last couple of years, and it goes something like this. Structure doesn't matter anymore. Just turn on Advantage Plus, broad targeting, and let the algorithm just do everything. And look, there's a kernel of truth in there. Meta's machine learning has gotten dramatically better. Broad targeting generally just outperform narrow interest targeting in a lot of scenarios. Advantage Plus shopping campaign have worked really well for some brands, but the idea that structure is irrelevant, that you can't just throw everything into one campaign and walk away, that's not the full picture. And brands that have taken that advice to literally are paying for it right now. Here's what's actually true. The algorithm is powerful, but it needs to be guided. And account structure is how you guide it. Structure isn't about controlling Meta. Structure is about organizing the signal flow so Meta has clean, unambiguous data to learn from. Fewer campaigns, more data per campaigns, cleaner signals. Every structured decision we make is going to come back to that principle. Your goal is to consolidate your budget and your data into fewer, more powerful campaigns that give Meta what it needs to optimize aggressively on your behalf. That's the game. For most DTC brands, and by most I mean brands spreading anywhere from a few $100s a day to several thousands, I recommend starting with 2 campaign framework. Campaign 1, prospecting. This campaign's entire job is to find new people who's never heard of your brand and turn them into customer, cold audience, fresh eyes. This is where the majority of your budget lives, typically 70 to 80% of your budget. Campaign 2, retargeting. This campaign's job is to follow up with people who already know you, website visitors, add to cart, video views, engaged followers, warm audience who needs a nudge. This gets the remaining 20 to 30% of your budget. That's it. 2 campaigns, clean separation of intent, no overlap. Each one has a clear job, a clear audience, and a clear budget. This simplicity is not a limitation, it's a feature. It gives Meta clear, unambiguous signal about what you're trying to accomplish in each campaign. Now, there's a situation where a third campaign makes sense, specifically a retention or an LTV campaign targeting your existing customer base. This is for brands who have a product with strong repeat purchase. A retention campaign targets your past purchaser list and tries to generate a repeat buyer, upsell, or reactivation. This is separate from retargeting because the audience is fundamentally different. These are people who have already bought from you, not people who are still considering it. If you're just starting to tighten up your structure, focus on a 2 campaigns framework. Get the humming, then add retention once you have a healthy volume of past purchase to target. Generally, at least a few thousand customers at minimum. One more thing before we move on, the right structure depends partly on where you are with your ad spend. If you're spending under $200 a day, keep it extremely simple. 1 prospecting campaign, CBO, 1 to 2 ad set, 3 to 5 ads. Don't add complexity until your budget can support it. At low spend, every dollar needs to work hard in a concentrated way. If you're spending $200 to $1,000 a day, the 2 campaign framework is your target. Prospecting plus retargeting, each with clean ad set and proper exclusion. Above $1,000 a day, you can start thinking about adding that retention campaign, testing additional prospecting assets, and experimenting with Advantage Plus alongside manual campaign. So Advantage Plus shopping campaigns, or ASC, launched a couple of years ago and quickly became one of the most talked about features in meta advertising. So let's actually break down what it is before we talk about whether you should use it. ASC is Meta's most automated campaign type. When you run an ASC, you give Meta your creative, your budget, and your target audience country, and Meta handles almost everything else. Audience selection, placement, delivery optimization is designed to remove as many manual levers as possible and let the algorithm work with maximum freedom. The key difference from a standard manual campaign is that ASC doesn't separate prospecting from retargeting. It targets both reaching new people and re-engaging warm audience. Within a single campaign, Meta decides the mix. So when does ASC actually perform? ASC tends to work best for brands that have strong creative assets and a large enough pixel signal for Meta to learn from. It tends to work well during peak period, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, product launches, when purchase intent is elevated across the board and Meta's ability to find high intent buyers is at its peak. It tends to work well for brands with broad product appeal, consumer products, fashion, home goods, where Meta's audience model has a lot of data to work with. On the flip side, ASC tends to struggle in a few specific scenarios. If your potential customer base is narrow, highly specific health condition, niche hobbies, B2B, adjacent D2C, ASC may burn budget trying to find people who simply don't exist at scale on the platform. Because ASC is optimizing for volume, it doesn't always protect your margin as well as a manual campaign with a cost cap bid strategy. If you're selling a high ticket item and every new customer acquired needs to be within a tight cost range, manual campaigns gives you more control. ASC is a great performance tool. It is not a great learning tool, and in the intermediate stage, you're still building your understanding of what works for your specific brand. My recommendation is test ASC alongside manual structure. Give it 20 to 30% of your total budget. See how it performs relative to your manual campaign on a blended basis over 30 days. Let the data tell you how much of your budget it deserves. Don't hand the keys to the entire account until it's earned them. Let's talk about how to actually allocate your budget across the funnel. I use a framework I call 70-20-10. And while this exact number will shift based on your specific situation, it's a great starting point for most D2C brand. 70% of your budget goes to prospecting. This is where growth happens. This is where you're reaching new people, building brand awareness, and acquiring new customers. If you want your business to grow, the majority of your ad spend needs to be working to bring people who have never heard about you before. 20% goes to retargeting. This is where you convert the warm traffic you've already generated, the website visitors, the add to carts, the video views. Retargeting is efficient because these people already have some awareness of your brand, but the pool is limited by how much prospecting you're doing. Retargeting is the follow through, not the engine. 10% goes to retention, past customers, lifetime value campaigns, upsell, reactivations. This is the most efficient spend in your account because you're selling to people who have already bought from you and already trust you, but it's capped by your customer base size, which is why it gets the smallest at most stages. Should you use daily budget or lifetime budget? Here's my take. Daily budgets are better for always on campaign. They give Meta consistent authority every day, which leads to more stable delivery and more predictable learning. For your core prospecting and retargeting campaign, use daily budget. Lifetime budgets are better for time-bound campaigns. If you're running a promotional campaign for a specific sale, a product launch with a defined window, or a seasonal push with a start and end date, lifetime budget lets you set a total spend cap and let Meta pace it, optimize it across campaign's duration. Meta's pacing algorithm is actually quite good with lifetime budget during high intent periods. When should you increase your budget? There's a simple rule I use. If a campaign has been running for at least 7 days, has exited the learning phase, and is hitting your MER and your new customer target consistently, it's ready to scale. How much to increase? No more than 20 to 25% at a time. Larger jumps resets or disrupt the learning phase and can send your performance into a tailspin. Slow, steady, incremental increase outperforms aggressive jump almost every time. Now, section 5, avoiding campaigns cannibalization. Campaign cannibalization happens when 2 or more of your campaigns are competing against each other to reach the same people. They're both bidding in the same auction for the same eyeball, and you're paying for both of them. It inflates your CPMs, it confuses your attribution, and it makes your campaign look like they're performing better than they are because each one is taking partial credit for conversion the other influence. Let me walk you through the 3 overlap scenarios I see most frequently. Scenario 1, prospecting and retargeting reaching the same warm visitors. Fix. Exclude your website visitor custom audience from your prospecting campaign. Anyone who has visited your site in the last 30 days should only be reached by your retargeting campaigns, not both. Scenario 2, retargeting and retention, reaching the same past buyers. And here's the fix. Exclude your purchasers list from your retargeting campaign. People who have already bought should either be excluded entirely from the retargeting or targeted only in your retention campaign with messaging appropriate for repeat buyers. Scenario 3, multiple ad sets with the same campaign retargeting overlaps audience. This is less common with broad targeting, but it still happens when lookalike or interest-based audience ad sets. And here's the fix. Use Meta's audience overlap tool to check overlap percentages between ad sets before you launch them. If overlap is above 20 to 25%, consolidate or differentiate. Section 6, naming convention and account organization. Why naming matters more than you think. I know you're thinking, naming convention? Really? You're going to spend time on naming convention? Yes, and here's why. When your account is small and you're the only one running it, you can probably keep track of what everything is, but the moment you scale or bring in a team member or hand the account to an agency or just come in after 2 weeks away, inconsistent naming turns your account into a maze. You spend time on navigation instead of optimization. More importantly, a clear naming convention lets you filter, sort, and analyze performance at a glance. If every campaign is named something like Campaign 1 or New Test, April, you can quickly see what's prospecting versus retargeting, what's running broad versus lookalike, what launched this month versus 6 months ago. Clean name is a performance tool. Here's the naming convention I recommend. It works at every level of the account: campaign, asset, and ad. At the campaign level, objective, audience type, and launch date. So something like sales prospecting January 26 or sales retargeting January 26. Anyone who opens your account immediately knows what this campaign is doing and when it started. At the ad set level, targeting type, audience description, and budget. So broad US CBO, $200. For a broad US prospecting ad set running on CBO at $200 a day, or website visitors 30 days, ABO 50 for a 30-day website visitor retargeting ad set on ABO at $50 a day. At the ad level, creative format, the call, angle, or hook, and a version number. So UGC results version 1, or static testimonial version 2, or video hook comparison version 1. This naming maps directly to your UTM content parameter, which means when you see the ad in your analytics tool, you know exactly what it is without having to cross-reference anything. Now, labels, your secret weapon. Beyond naming, Meta has a label feature that most advertisers completely ignore. Labels let you tag campaigns, ad sets, and ad with custom categories so you can filter across entire accounts. I recommend using labels to tag by funnel stage: prospecting, retargeting, retention, by creative type, UGC, static, video, carousel, and by test status, active test, winning, paused, controlled. This way you can filter your account to see all your current winners at a glance, or all active tests, or all retargeting campaigns across every structure. It takes about 10 minutes to label your current account, and it saves the same 10 minutes every single week when you're doing your optimization review. Building your account map. Last thing in this section, if you have a team or plan to, I strongly recommend building a simple account map. This is just one-page document or spreadsheet that shows the current structure of your account. It doesn't need to be fancy. A simple table in Google Sheet works perfectly. The point is that anyone on your team can open it and immediately understand the full picture of what's live in your account without having to dig through Ads Manager. All right, let's bring it home. 5 things I want you to walk away from with. 1. Account structure isn't about controlling Meta, it's about organizing signal flows. 2. The 2 campaigns framework, prospecting plugs, retargeting, is the right foundational for most D2C brands. And then 3. Advantage Plus shopping campaigns are useful tools, not a silver bullet. 4. 70% prospecting, 20% retargeting, 10% retention is your starting allocation. 5. Exclusion and naming conversion are not optional. We're going to talk about why broad targeting is winning, how to build high signal custom audience from your first party data, when lookalike still works, and when to ditch them, and how to map your audience to funnel stages so right message reaches the right person at the right time.